are you?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining me on Five Songs That Changed My Life.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You're looking lovely, all braided up and
Oh,
well lit.
yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am. Give him a little profile. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So, I am so happy to have you here. I am genuinely a fan of your voice. I love your career. So, I'm happy to have you here to talk more about your influences and what you've been able to do in the music game.
Yep. Thank you for
Um,
having me. It is a
Absolutely.
pleasure to be here. Thank you for the platform. I appreciate this.
Thank you so much. So, for the people who do not know who this amazing artist is, I'm going to give you a little background. You hail from the talent mecca that is Houston, Texas. So, shout out
Hmm.
Texas. Um,
Texas, yes. Well,
Absolutely.
everything is big.
Where everything is big, the voices and everything, okay?
Yep.
Your mom was a soul vocalist and your father was a jazz musician. So, music is in the blood.
Mm-hmm.
You were
Mm-hmm.
inspired by artists such as The Emotions, who we'll talk more about later, and Aretha Franklin, who you were able to co-write for later, the
Mm-hmm.
song "Here We Go Again" from her "Rose Is Still a Rose" album.
Yep.
As a background vocalist, you sung for Patty Austin, Jennifer Holliday, Mariah Carey, Beyonce, Biggie and CeCe Winans. The list goes on and on.
Mm-hmm.
I recently discovered that you contributed vocals to Toni Braxton's "Love Should Have Brought You Home," which
Mm-hmm.
explains a lot because those backgrounds are so lush. And I'm like, it
Yep.
just makes sense. It
Yeah,
just makes
along
sense.
with Mr. Baby, Kenny, I'm sorry, Kenny Babyface Edward Edmonds, and I have to thank Pebbles for referring me to that session. I used to sing background vocals for her as well, and Pebbles
Very
referred me to
nice.
that
Very
session.
nice.
Hmm.
I was going to ask you how that connection came about, but there we go, through Pebbles.
Hmm.
Very nice. Very nice. But of course, you are a recording artist of your own. We know your own voice. Most people came to know about you through your cover of Minnie Riperton's "Inside My Love" that was featured on the Love Jones soundtrack.
Yeah,
We love it. We love it. We love it.
thank
Um,
you.
Absolutely. Your first album, Inside My Love, was on So So Def, which did not get wide release, unfortunately. But
Hmm.
then your second album came through Motown, Same Girl, which
Hmm.
I love as well. And after a little break from the music industry, you've returned to us and given us some new music. I Do, which we were just listening to, and Where I'm Supposed to Be, both in partnership with the R&B moguls. So
Hmm.
again, that's just a little background. We're going to talk more and more about this amazing career that you've had and are still having. But excuse me. In the meantime, we'll just jump into the song list and we'll talk as we go. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Excellent, excellent. So we mentioned Minnie Riperton. "Inside My Love" is a cover that most people know you for doing. But the
Right.
first song on your list is actually a different song of hers, "Memory Lane." So what we're going to do is listen to just a little bit of that, and then we'll discuss. Okay?
Okay.
Angelic voice, iconic voice, Minnie Riperton,
The late great Minnie Riperton.
the late great Minnie Riperton. So tell me how that particular song influenced you and changed your life.
Um, well, first of all, coming from a musically inclined family, as you mentioned earlier, my mother is a singer who also plays piano. My father plays guitar. My father charted music for big bands as well. And my mother, as a kid, I'm the last of six children, and all of my siblings, we love music. And my mother would always like surprise me with different albums, always. And that was I was already a Minnie Riperton fan from the early albums, but this was her last one before she passed. And this one, we all knew, and as, I was pretty young when she passed. We all knew that she was not well, she was ill, and it just seems like that particular song kind of hit me. I think that was the first time as a kid I cried when someone passed, and I felt like I knew her. The lyrics just kind of fit perfectly, and Minnie Riperton has always been one of my favorites as a kid. That one just kind of does something to me every time I hear it. It sticks with me. It takes me back to my childhood. It takes me back to my grandmother who used to keep us, Grandma Gladys, who was a feisty, short young woman who loved music, who would come in and set it off and get us all together and start dancing with her. And some of my traits come from them. You know, that one is kind of touching for me. That one definitely reminds me of my childhood. And again, as I mentioned, I love Minnie Riperton. It's one of my favorites.
I love it. I love it. So, how did your cover of "Inside My Love" come about? Because, of course, people know you for that amazing rendition that you've done. I think it's almost as classic as hers is, if
Right.
we can be frank. How did that
Right.
happen?
I was signed to So So Def with Jermaine Dupri, and I just signed with him. Actually, I hadn't even started on the album, and I got a call from him late one night. And at that time, I was roommates with the great Trey Lorenz, who actually helped me put that song together, who helped
Hmm.
put that session together. Um, I got a call late one night from Jermaine. He called about 2 o'clock in the morning. He said, "Hey, we are doing this soundtrack, and I want to know if you want to do this song." And I said, "Okay, well, what is it?" He said, "It's Mary Riperton's Inside My Love." And he said that the deal is we only have this is the last slot for the song. We have to turn the soundtrack in. This is it. It's the last song for it. And I said, well, let me think about it and call you back. Me being green, not really knowing, it was my first time signing with a major label. And I get up and I go across the hall and I knock on Trey's door and I said, hey, Jermaine just called me and he wants me to do this soundtrack, the Minnie Riperton song. I said, I don't know if I want to do it. And Trey was like, you're gonna do it. I was like, but Trey, I don't know if I can hit those notes, you know. He said, you don't have to do it like Minnie Riperton. Just do it your way. So I would have to give credit to Jermaine Dupri and Trey Lorenz for convincing me to do it. Well, for Jermaine actually, reaching out for me to do it, and Trey kind of helped me. Trey kind of helped me navigate my way through it and put it all together, along with some
Nice.
great musicians. So
Yes,
that's how
absolutely.
that came about.
So shout out to JD and shout out to Trey Lorenz.
Yeah,
Um, both amazing, amazing creatives themselves.
yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So the next song on your list is actually an Earth, Wind, and Fire song. That's the way of the world. Woo,
Mm-hmm.
so smooth, so wonderful. Let's
Mm-hmm.
get into a little bit of it, and then we'll talk more about it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So
That's the
tell
way
me,
of the
how did
world.
that song change your life?
As I mentioned earlier, I'm the last of six children. I'm the youngest, and my family, we absolutely love Earth, Wind, and Fire, particularly my sister Colette. We had an opportunity as very, very young kids. Earth, Wind, and Fire came to town. My mother got us some tickets to go and see them, and it was in Houston, Texas, at U of H. They performed at the U of H, University of Houston's football stadium. And for
Mm.
some reason, my uncle took us, and my uncle was out there with us with five or six young kids. We were elated, and the emotions opened up for them. And as I mentioned to you earlier, I'm a huge emotions fan. And I don't know what possessed me at the concert. After the emotions went off, we were waiting for Earth, Wind, and Fire to come on. I don't know what possessed me to get up and walk away. We were way up top, and I decided to walk down. And I said, I want to go meet them. And I walked away to try to get backstage and go and meet the emotions. I left my family, left my uncle. And all of a sudden, as I mentioned, we were at the football stadium, which was outside. And all of a sudden, this big cloud opened up, and it started raining. And there was this big storm where they had to cancel the entire concert, and I was lost. I was lost. They actually took me backstage. My family was looking for me, and they were like, Earth, Wind, and Fire is gone, and emotions are gone. So, of course, they had to cancel the show for that day, and then they brought the show back the following day. My mother was like, by the time they found me, it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So
Mm.
my mother was like, no, you guys aren't going. So I pretty much ruined it for the whole family. I don't think they got to go to the concert the next day. But I mean, I've always been a huge fan of Maurice White, Philip Bailey, Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I actually had a chance to tour with them with Rasan Patterson. We opened for them on the Viagra tour. It was Rasan Patterson, Rufus and Shaka Khan, and Earth, Wind, and Fire back in 19, it was, I think, 2001, something like that, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So to be able to see them perform, that kind of took me back to my childhood. But I've always been a fan of Earth, Wind, and Fire since I was a little kid.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
And that
amazing.
song always reminds me of a time when my mother and father were together. It reminds me of family. Just reminds me of family in Houston, Texas. Anytime I
Mm.
hear it.
And it's got that warm energy to it. So it
Yeah.
definitely, I think, takes everybody back once you hear it. It
Yes.
just puts you in
Yes.
a zone.
Yes.
Absolutely. Um, I saw somebody ask what the first song was, just to take us back. Memory Lane by Minnie Riperton was the very first song. And right now we're talking about That's the Way of the World by Earth, Wind, and Fire. I saw somebody actually mention our next song, which was also written and produced by Maurice White of Earth,
Mm-hmm.
Wind, and Fire. It's Blessed by The Emotions, who I also love. The Emotions. Amazing, underrated female group.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're going
Classic.
to listen to a little bit of that, and then we're going to talk more, okay?
Okay. Yes, Colette, singing in the den. That's my sister.
Yes,
Yep.
sister.
Yep.
Hello. I
Yep.
see everybody's enjoying that. The good old Earth,
Yep.
Wind, Fire groove, those smooth harmonies
Mm-hmm.
from the emotions. So tell me,
Yep.
how did that song influence you?
Ah. Uh, again, as I mentioned, anybody who knows me well, knows that I am a very, 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 very huge Emotions fan. And I remember I had a friend who lived down the street from me, Kendra Rogers, and I hadn't gotten the album yet. So it was during the summer, we were riding bikes, and we stopped at a house for a Kool-Aid break. And I walked in, I remember seeing, her mom had a great album collection. I remember seeing the album sitting on the side, and I said, you got to play this. I said, please, please play this album for me. So we weren't supposed to be in the house. We were supposed to be outside riding bikes. Mom was at work. And I just remember sitting in there listening to the album and playing a couple of things, and blessed, I mean, just the intro of it, just the whole message of it, the delivery. I was in heaven. I mean, I don't know. I just get chills every time I hear it, every time I think about it. I don't know. It's just if you listen to the lyrics, it's perfect timing always. And just kind of reminds me of myself where I am in life right now when I listen to it. I listened to it last night. Just kind of got a little choked up, but just that's what music is supposed to do. It's supposed to spark emotions, and every time I hear the emotions, they spark emotions for me. That's what art is supposed to do, spark emotions to some capacity.
That's right. Absolutely.
Right.
So we mentioned at the top that you did take a little bit of a break from the industry, and you're back at it now.
Mhm.
Are you excited to be back creating music? Are you feeling like you're in a good space to give the world more of Trina?
I do. I recently invested in some studio equipment for my home.
Nice.
I'm kind of sitting here learning a few things. Just got small stuff, mic, speakers, and I've been on YouTube looking at how to record my own vocals, looking at YouTube to see how to run Pro Tools, to see how to run Logic. Just it's a whole new world for me because I'm used to going in and somebody just pressing a button and pressing play. But I am excited to be back. There's been a little downtime as far as COVID is concerned. Creatively, I was stumped for a
Sure.
minute, and suddenly, maybe a month ago, some things started flowing, and I have some things that I started on with Daryl Freeman. Most people know him as D Free. He's on Instagram, a great musician. We had a whole album that we did a couple of years ago, so we're kind of revisiting some of those songs we talked, and we're talking about collaborating again. So we're kind of revisiting some old stuff, and I've got a lot to say about some new stuff too. So I mean, I am kind of excited. I am, particularly to have my own equipment here and to kind of sit here and push my own buttons. That's great.
That's right. It puts you in control.
Hmm.
Lovely. I'm excited too. I can never get enough of your voice and your material. You're also a great songwriter as well, so I know the lyrical quality is going to be there every time. Very excited for that. Just to back up just a little bit, tell us about that first album, Inside My Love. What happened there?
Without going into too many details, the powers that be, it just didn't work out. I got caught in the crossfire with a lot of things. You know, things happen. Um, just didn't work out. It just wasn't a time, but it would have been great. But I will say that Billboard named it. I was in the top 100, one of the best albums not to come out. Thanks to Gail Mitchell for saying that. But later we had Ralph T, a guy from the UK, who picked it up and put it out, and it did pretty good. But you know, just just wasn't a time. Just
Sure,
wasn't a time.
sure, these things happen, but I'm glad that we're still able to enjoy your music now, subsequently. So, for you crate diggers, you people that go out there and research and find the albums, like myself, it's out there in the world. You just got to go search for it.
It is. It is.
So the last song we discussed was "Blessed by the Emotions."
Hmm.
Again, produced by Maurice White of Earth, Wind and Fire. The next song is also produced by Maurice White of Earth, Wind and Fire. It is "I Am Love" by Jennifer Holliday. Big
Hmm.
voice, big voice. Still.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
let's listen to a little bit of that, and then we'll talk more about it. Y'all, this is 5 Songs That Changed My Life. My special guest is Miss Trina Broussard.
Oh, that's the part that turned it off. No joke.
I know.
Okay.
We'll blame Instagram for that. We don't want them to shut us down.
Right. Right.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention that this song was co-written by David Foster, so it definitely has that big ballady quality that both he and Maurice White can be known for. So tell me more about that song and why you chose that for your list.
As I mentioned earlier, I would come home from school and there would be a new album or a new 45 on the table.
Mm,
And my mom knew I was nosy and I would open it. And I was one of those who would love to explore songs that weren't as popular either. But I Am Love, it's something about the intro. I always tell young kids, and I always talk to some of my colleagues, and I said, for me, a lot of times a song will tell a story before the voice is even on it, before you hear the first note. And it's always the intro that tells a story too. And it's something that kind of make me feel melancholy when I hear it. But just the lyrics, I remember coming home and seeing this album cover Jennifer Holliday had on pink. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful black full-figured woman, face beat, hair absolutely beautiful. And such a beautiful album cover, and everything on the inside matched it, every song. And I Am Love is just the lyrics and where it is where I am. And I've always felt that as a kid, and I still feel that now. The song, it represents me.
So you actually got a chance to work with her later in your career, correct?
Yes, I did background vocals for Jennifer Holliday, and I would have to say, out of all of the people I've had the chance to work with, I still tell people this. She was one of my favorites, and she taught me a lot. And I never forget, we were doing that particular song, doing the background vocals on it, and I told one of the singers, I said, I'm going to take soprano. And I called myself trying to hit the note from the bridge, and she said, She said, take it down, take it down. And when she told me to take it down to another note, to a lower register, she said, see, now when you sing it that way, you can sing it, I'm trying to remember what she said. Not only is it alto, not only is it soprano, but it's comfortable for you. I mean, it was just a dream to work. We worked with a symphony, and it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful time. And besides, she's from Houston, Texas. She's a homegirl. So it was great. I would say she was one of my favorites. And to work with a childhood, one of my childhood dreams, one of my childhood favorites.
I love it. I love it. The lessons we learned along the way. Of course, you're a recording artist in your own right. So how does that influence how you put together your own live shows and arrange your own backgrounds and all of that?
I'm often listening to people like Jennifer Holliday, Alita Adams, Aretha Franklin, Denise Williams, Sister Sledge, Sarita Wright, whatever it takes to kind of put me in a space to put shows together. I try to get I've been blessed to work with some of the greatest musicians in Atlanta and abroad. And they also help. So I'm always open for things, but I'm always trying new stuff. Usually when I do cover songs in my show, I try not to pick the most popular. I kind of try to stretch a little bit. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But particularly when I did my last show in D.C. at City Winery, I took a stab at Chaka Khan's Papillon, which Brenda Russell wrote. And, being up under Rashawn Patterson for many, many years, you learn how to navigate through different things. So
your volume is fading just a little bit.
I'm sorry?
Your volume is fading just a little bit. I want to make sure we hear every bit of your story here.
Okay, I was saying being up under Rashawn Patterson for almost 20 years and singing background.
Oh, now I've lost you completely, Trina. I'm sorry.
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you.
There
we go. There we go. I want to make sure we hear you.
Oh, okay. I was saying, can you guys hear me now? Because some people saying I can't. Okay, perfect. I was saying, you asked me how do I put together my shows. Often I'm listening to different artists to put me in a mood, to put me in a place to pick songs. And I usually try to pick songs that aren't, the typical ones that you do at open mic. I try to pick the B-side, something that's not normal. And as I mentioned, I took a stab in D.C. and did Chaka Khan's Papillon. And I think I was able to pull it off. But sometimes when I do songs, it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But it just depends on the mood. I can't quite explain to you. It depends on the mood. It depends on where I am in my life at that time when I pick different songs for a show. It depends. Sure. Yeah.
But you want to feel it, regardless of where you are.
I want to feel it. I want to feel it, and I want to feel it. And I have to say, I have to give kudos to the musicians that I choose. Great guys like Billy Barlow, Mike Burton, Melvin Jones. These guys come. I'm one of those where I want horns. I want horns when I do a show. I want 3 background singers instead of 2 because I want all the harmonies to be there. But I work what I can when I get 2. But I've been blessed to work with some great people, some great musicians. I have to say it's most certainly no goodness of my own. I can't do it by myself. And I have always had the honor and the pleasure to work with great musicians that help me pull it off, and singers as well.
I love it. I love it. It takes a village, y'all. Not just to raise a child, but to put on the show.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the last song on the five list, we got a little bonus for y'all, is I'm a Pilgrim by Walter Hawkins and the Hawkins family. We're going to go into the gospel world, y'all. So let's have a little bit of church, and then we'll talk more about it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we are looking at the comments, so if you have any questions, make sure you ask them in the comments.
Preserve your voice.
Oh, that's a good one. Let's talk about it.
As crazy as it is, I don't sing much at home. I don't sing much. I talk a lot, but I don't sing much. I don't know. I drink water. I drink tea. Excuse me. I don't know. I'm just a little blessed. If you have any suggestions, if anybody's out there can tell me what I can do to take care of my voice. I mean, I don't do much. I don't do much. I don't do much. I don't sing much. I should sing more at home, but I don't do a lot of singing at home. I don't do much.
Do you have any pre-show rituals that you do before your performances?
I try to steam. At the time when the Y was open, I try to go to the Y and sit and steam like a week prior to the gig. Again, I try not to talk too much. I try to up my water game more than usual. I pray that everything turns out right.
Yeah.
Meditate, and I think I know how to navigate it. If it's not in a good place where I want to hit certain notes, I've learned how to navigate and not to stretch. And if I do stretch, I know where to put it. If that makes sense to you, you know.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That's called professionalism. I love it. I love it. So let's get into I'm a Pilgrim from the Hawkins and the Hawkins family, and then we'll chat a little more.
Okay.
So tell me, how did that song change your life?
Family reunion. Well, first of all, my mother's mother was a minister of music at a church for close to 30 years.
Mm.
When we would go down to visit her in Lubbock, Texas, every summer, she would take us to choir rehearsal with us. And just to see her, just to watch her direct the choir, put them in place, was a beautiful thing, was life-changing. With that, you know, as a young kid, I was young. I felt like I could have caught the Holy Spirit then. We had a family reunion one year, and my Aunt Paralee, God bless her soul, never forget, she did a solo. All the kids were on one end and all the adults were on the other end. And I just remember peering down, watching her sing, and just amazed. And when we left, after we left choir rehearsal, we went home, went to the house, and they were playing this. And I just remember when I got back to Houston, my mother had that album waiting on the table too. And I just remember staring at it. Just remember staring at it and playing it. And it's just something about that one. You can hear the conviction in it. You can hear the pleading. You can hear. You can just. It takes you there. If that makes sense to you. I get a little choked up when I talk about it, but it's something in there that makes you feel like you're ready to receive whatever's on the other side of that, whatever is given. So that's one of my favorites. One of my favorites.
I love it. I love it. You mentioned earlier with one of the songs we discussed, the intro and the build up before the voice even comes in. That's one of those songs that builds musically before the voice comes in and just takes it away. Of course, it's gospel, so it takes its time to build, and I think the song is about 8 minutes long. Now, comparing that to nowadays where everything needs to be short in 2 minutes or less, I'm exaggerating, but honestly, it's true. Do you still feel like we have time in songs to create the mood and set things up before we get into the singing and the good stuff?
I do. Okay. I feel like we have time to do it. I just feel like nobody's taking that. I'm not going to say nobody, because there are people who are doing it, but I feel like when I say nobody, you know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of producers aren't taking the time to do it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Again, as I mentioned earlier, music is supposed to, well, let's just say art, particularly music. Music is supposed to spark emotions. And when everything sounds alike, it's kind of scary. But I think there is room for it. We just have to try it. I think everybody's following trends as opposed to making us feel, you know? It's kind of hard to feel now. For me, I can't speak for anybody else, but where I am with music, it's hard to feel a lot of times. And that's not to take anything from the new crop that's in, because evolution is inevitable. You know, things evolve, things change.
Of course.
So, excuse me, but I just think for a lot, I always say to a lot of the young folks that's coming up, you know, listen to production by Earth, Wind, and Fire. Listen to Maurice White. Listen to a bass line from Birdie and White. You listen to a lick from, you know, listen to Prince. Listen to George Benson. I mean, but it's a preference. I mean, I just like something with a groove. I like something that I can feel. I like something that's honest. You know, if you can tell when somebody's singing something and it's honest, or if it's been pushed, or if it's been contrived. But I'm not here to step on anybody's craft. I'm not a blocker. So some people may feel the same way about me, but I do feel that there's room. You know, no, seriously. But I do feel that there's room for for us to feel. And I do feel with certain people. I feel with Jasmine Sullivan. I feel with Fantasia. I feel with Bilal. I feel with Donnie Johnson. I feel with well, she's been around for a minute, but I've been listening to Leanne. This particular album that she put out, it's just been on constant rotation. And I feel when I listen to Kindred Family Soul also, I feel Asia, I feel Patine. I mean, there's a lot of people out here, but I just think a lot of times the gatekeepers aren't letting the people in that can make us really feel in. You know, it's a lot of things you have to navigate through. It's a lot of people. There's a lot of independent artists who are really out here doing their thing also. Cy Smith, Joy, Tennessee Slim is the bomb, my sister. It's a lot of artists out here who are really trying to do it. There's a lot of artists out here trying to do it. But, you know, Russell Taylor.
Yes.
It's a host of us out here trying to do it, you know. As a matter of fact, I was speaking to Russell earlier today, and I said, you know, it's tough, but so are we. You know, we just have to keep going.
Agreed. Agreed. I had both Russell and Cy on the show. They were great conversations. Shared a lot of gems. Both of them did. So let's talk a little bit about that independent grind, because I know that now you're an independent artist as well. How does that compare to the days of the major labels and the huge budgets and low thousands of dollars on the video, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the video? How does it compare?
Not that it was work before, but it's work. You know, it's your stuff. You know, it's before you had somebody in the graphics department. You had somebody, you know, like in the photography department, but you know, you're sitting there taking your own pictures and, you know, setting things up. And even though I say it's work, it's gratifying. You know, if you're really serious about it and getting into it, I don't do it alone. I have wonderful people that come along and help me. I can't speak for anybody else, but I don't do it alone. But there's also a friend in it. You know, you own your stuff. You know, you call the shots. With the record label, you know, there was a lot of different things that you couldn't really be involved in, you know. But for the most part, these independent artists, they're out here doing it. You know, they are their own entity, and they are making it happen. You know, from videos to, and also not only just music too. They're branching off doing their merch. My friend Cherie Patrice, she's a great artist, great singer-songwriter, who does merch. I've watched her build her own website. I've watched her decide not to go to all the digital platforms and sell her singles for $5 on her own website, and it's worked, you know. At first I was like, Cherie, what are you doing charging people $5 for a CD, for a single in a pandemic? And once she showed me the numbers and broke it down to me and made me understand, it's room for it if you're willing to do it, but it's work, you know, it's work. But it's, at the end of the day, when you get it done, it's gratifying. It's gratifying.
There we have it. So we have a bonus song. We've talked about five songs, but I'm enjoying this conversation. So we're going to talk about this bonus
I didn't
song.
think you were going to play it. I was just saying if I had to choose, I just put it in there.
Hey, it's here and we got time. Do you have time? Are you good?
I'm great.
Okay, fantastic. So As by Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I think Stevie has been on 70% of the list since I started this show in May. He's so influential. If not Stevie, then Prince. But you know, these are our legends, our giants.
Right.
So let's listen to a little bit of As, and then we will talk about it. Excuse me.
Okay. Yes. I'm sorry.
Yep. That's the best part. I know. I'm sorry. So just to let y'all know, these songs are all on the 5 songs Spotify playlist. If you go to the link in my bio, you can check them out in full. Also, you
Mhm.
can get the official show T-shirt that says "Music changed my life." Also in the link in my bio. So, "As" by Stevie Wonder. Let's talk about it. How did that song change your life?
Mm. I mean, I don't know, but for me, I could be having the worst day. I could
Hmm.
be in traffic. I could be in a sad mood, and anytime Stevie Wonder ads comes on, I keep saying this. Music, art is supposed to spark emotions. It's supposed to take you and put you somewhere else, and that is what that does for me. I don't care where I am, what happens. It just puts me where I need to be. Period. That's what it does. I mean, just to who comes up with those lyrics and talks about, until the day that 8 times 8 is 4. That is the day that I know more. If you really listen to those lyrics, it's like, okay. I mean, you got to really, I don't know. I'm not necessarily saying you got to be out of your mind, but it takes, it takes something special to be able to talk about that. And when you talk about loving somebody as and all those lyrics that he talks about, I mean, just listen to the song. I mean, it's hard to explain, but I get a little choked up when I hear it. Again, it reminds me of my childhood. Music at that time, music was so great. Not to say that it's not great now. There was so many great things to choose from, and you think about barbecues, you think about your family, you think about um, it just takes you back. It just takes you back. And like I said, I keep mentioning this. It's supposed to spark art. Art is supposed to spark an emotion, and that is what it does for me. I don't care where I am. I could be in the middle of I could be boo-hooing and hear that, and I just stop, and it changes my entire everything. It
Yeah,
does. It does
yeah.
it for me. It does it for me.
See, y'all, if you take nothing else away from this interview besides how beautiful she looks and how amazing it is to talk to her, art
Thank
is
you.
supposed to spark emotion. It is
Yeah.
supposed to spark emotion. Stevie is, I think, the preeminent songwriter in terms of balancing universal truth with
Mhm.
personal relatability. Like the songs are personal, but then there's this universal truth to the songs that he wrote. Did that have any influence on you as a writer? Because we know that you got pen game as well.
Right. Well, let me just say this. I don't do it alone. I've had some great writers come along with me: Rari Valverde, Carlos Ricketts, Trey Lorenz,
Mm-hmm.
Asha Blue, um, excuse me, um, St. Bullock. I've had some great writers come along. I would have to say, here's how it works for me. Rasan Patterson has written for me as well. Here's what I say. This is my formula of how I sit down and write. I start with a melody first, or I might start with a word or a subject.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm more of the melody person. I'll sit down and tell the person that's writing with me where I am,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm feeling, and we take it from there. And I've been blessed, again, as I mentioned, those writers: Trey, Asha, um, Rare, Carlos, Cherie Brown, who helps me as well, Cherie Patrice. Um, I've been blessed to be around some great writers and some great singers and some bad folks. Bad as in badass. Excuse my French. Good, good.
That's all right. We speak French too. I love it. I love it. I love it. So before we go, please tell the people where they can find you, how they can keep in touch with you, and what you got coming up next. Because we want to, we want to hear more. We want to see more.
You can find me here on Instagram, Trina Broussard. You can find me on Facebook, Trina Broussard. I have a fan page as well. You can find me on Twitter sometimes, but it's Trina Broussard. I'm not really a tweeter, a Twitter person
Sure.
like that.
Twitter is
Anyway,
dangerous.
I keep saying this. We really are and truly are working on a website. We're working on it. Selena, we're working on a website. I have a show coming up with Jill Rock Jones on October 29th here in Atlanta, Georgia. Uh, I'm sorry, I'm so blocked. Sean Joyner is the promoter for it. Sean Joyner presents October 29th, Thursday, with Jill Rock Jones, who is a bad, 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 bad singer-songwriter, bad singer-songwriter, bad. I'm excited about it. Some other people that's going to be on that series is Robbie, as well as the Stout, as well as Felicia. So I'm looking forward to it. I have a couple other things coming up. Like I said, I've been kind of teaching myself how to record and sitting down trying to do those things. So hopefully we'll have something to you before the end of the year for a single. I'm not really sure. I'm in the spirit of flowing. I'm not rushing anything. So
There you go. There you go. Take your time and let it slow cook. We'll get it when it's ready.
amen. That's right, Chris, my Libra brother. I'm sorry. I'm looking at notes as I'm talking to you.
No, no, no. That's fine. That's why the comments are there. Make sure we responding to the people. Well, thank you
Yes.
so much for joining me. I'm so excited to have had this conversation. Looking forward to the 29th. Is that going to be an in-person show or is that virtual?
That is in person at St. James, October
Okay.
29th.
Okay.
It's limited seating. It's going to be socially distancing. You get your temperature checked before you walk in. You have to wear a mask. I'll be very far from you from the stage, from the audience. But we're also working on a virtual part of that too. We're meeting next week to discuss that. So we'll have those details to you as well for those who can't come out and make it.
Okay.
It'll be a virtual
Fantastic.
party.
So y'all keep plugged in to Trina Broussard on Instagram and Facebook, the fan page, and you'll learn more about that show before it comes up. So again, thank you so much for joining me. Y'all, thank
Thank you
you
for having me,
everybody.
Jason. It's been beautiful. Thank you. Bye,
Thank you
y'all.
so
Take
much.
care.
Y'all
Good
have a
night.
good night, all right?
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.